and or watching to the Black Eagles podcast, a Beşiktaş talk show.
Ahmet Dursun Sergen aldı. Sergen Bülent yan yana. Sergen Bülent. Sergen. Yanında Tümer var. Tümer'e doğru aksiyonlar gitti. Tümer topu aldı. Sergen aldı. Gol! Gol! Gol! Sergen attı. Sergen attı. Şampiyonluk geldi. Sergen attı. Şampiyonluk geldi.
İbrahim'in pası. Roma. Şimdi Ahmet. İkinci gole gidiyor Beşiktaş. Ahmet.
Hello, Black Eagles. Welcome back to the Black Eagles podcast. My name is Cam Bayezid, and I am joined today by my co-host Kartal Schwarting is what I was going to say. Kartal Oor from Glasgow, Scotland. Kartal, welcome back to the show, buddy. How are you doing?
In Glasgow, and I said that last week as well.
Yeah.
We've had a good patch of weather here, so yeah, and it's to be really nice tomorrow, and I've got the day off, which is brilliant. So I'll enjoy that. It's 20 degrees in Glasgow, man. What we call that, taps off weather.
It's beautiful weather, man. It was very windy today here in Belgium, and for the last couple of days, it's been pretty windy, but it's nice. It's good temperature. I've been going out for walks with the dog every day. Really looking forward to the summer coming. And I think we're gonna get a good summer. So hopefully, we're gonna get a good summer sitting out near a pool or having a drink, sipping a drink, and then watching our phone, transfer after transfer after transfer. Early in the summer, in July or something. Imagine that if we would sign like 3-4 good players early. That would be great. And also very necessary, I think, because 0-0 draw on Monday against Fatih Karagümrük, the dead last team in the Super League, Kartal. I wouldn't say it was a horrendous performance. I was not impressed because very much like I was frustrated with the performance, similar to how I was frustrated with the performance in the Cup against Alanyaspor. And for our Patreon members, they will maybe have seen our watch along already, and they will have been able to see exactly why I was frustrated. But maybe some of you have watched our TikToks or Instagrams. We have some shorts which aren't that short on as well. And one of the main things for me was, and this has been an issue for a while now, I feel like our lack of high pressure. And I feel like that is something we've only just recently started to let slip, because our high pressure game was something we have been doing for a couple of years. You know, we started doing it under Valérien Ismaël, obviously. Giovanni Van Bronckhorst played a very high pressure game, relented a little bit on that due to the age of the squad, as you found out, Kartal, from one of the coaches. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer played a relatively high pressing game, and I feel like Sergen, when he won the title, he played with intense pressing. I feel like throughout the season he's played relatively intense pressing, and I don't know what it is the last couple of weeks. It's like they stopped pressing, and it's just so frustrating because this allows teams in our own stadium to have patches of dominance. And I'm talking Alanyaspor and Fatih Karagümrük here, not Fenerbahçe or Galatasaray or Trabzonspor, but like not, like the dead last team in the Super League, and then Alanyaspor somewhere like around 13th, 14th place or something. So what's going on? What do you think is the issue?
Yeah. It just seems like we're going backwards, Karen, because if you think back to the first half of the season, the Karagümrük game was one of the best games of the season, and we were all praising the team. Orkun Kukçu balled out in that game. Obviously, Czerny was on form at that time. We had a really good game, and the team, we went through a period where we thought, yes, we're actually building something, and you can see that things are getting better. But I feel like for the last while now, it seems like we've regressed.
Yeah.
We lost to Samsun pathetically.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to come out and say we should have won this game on Monday.
Yeah, of course.
We had the chances to win it, but
at
the same time, I mean, we'll look at the stats soon, but I don't think the performance. Do you think this performance reflects those stats? I don't think so, Ken.
No,
I think
no.
I think there was kind of just a bit of a what they call a Dollarstama type of football from Beşiktaş. It wasn't really structured.
Yeah.
We were just kind of playing without a plan. It felt like, and from sheer talent, we did find some positions, mainly through crosses.
Yeah.
But overall, I was disappointed in the play. It wasn't good play. Yes, we did create the chances to win the game. Yes, we should have won it. We didn't win it. And I think the question we should be asking the fan base just now is, why has our football regressed?
Mm-hmm. And
I think Sergen Yalçın is the answer to that.
Yeah, I agree. And let's have a look at those well, actually, let's quickly run down this lineup. So Ersin was suspended, so we saw Davis Vazquez in goal for his debut. I thought he looked really good. Some people out there even saying he looked better than Ersin. Obviously, Amir Murillo was suspended as well, and we had Taylan Bulut starting, and he had a solid match. Agbadu next to Emirhan Topçu, who returns from injury, and Ridvan Yilmaz at left back. Ndidi back in the lineup. He was already back, of course, against Alanyaspor in the cup. Then we had El Bilal back on the left, Junior Alaitat, Orkun Kökçü in the center. And on the right side, we had Milot Rasicka getting a start over Vaclav Černý, and Oh Hyun-gyu up top for the Black Eagles. Kartal. And before we get into the stats, quickly, what did you think of Davis Vazquez?
I thought he was fine. Had a couple of nice saves. There was one pass where he made a mistake though. Person out of the back. And there, I believe he ended up making the save. After that. So he had one kind of dodgy moment, but other than that, he looked very solid. I felt like he gave confidence. Like you just get a feeling with certain keepers that they exude confidence and you believe in them. And I felt that when he was on the pitch, to be honest. I don't know about you, Ken.
Yeah, and I really liked his passing as well. I think his on-the-ball passing was just a lot better than Ersin. Felt much more natural.
That's the kind of Achilles heel of Turkish goalkeepers, isn't it, Ken? Their distribution. What Turkish goalkeeper has been good at distribution?
I think Uğurcan has decent distribution. I think Berke has decent distribution as well. Mert was okay in his prime, but regressed in that sense. But definitely for Ersin, it's his major flaw, I would say. Because for me, I think the major flaws for Turkish goalkeepers is usually their authority in the air, and I think Ersin is a very rare example of a Turkish goalkeeper who is good at that. But his feet aren't great, obviously. I think Ersin, if he was born 20 years earlier, he'd be a really good goalkeeper because the expectations were just very different. But Davis Vazquez, to me, I mean, obviously, look, it's just one game. But he looked like somebody I'd like to see more of, and it's a shame that there's not... Well, maybe, I mean, in theory, Sergen could decide to just play him for the remainder of the league matches to see whether he's worth retaining or not. But realistically, I don't think that's going to happen. That's probably the one and only game we'll see him play.
Unfortunately, why did this guy not get a chance before? Why could we not seen maybe some rotation in the cup? Why?
Yeah, there were some opportunities for sure. Because I mean, look, I understand you're not gonna yoink Ersin because his performance went up when Vazquez arrived. So I understand him keeping the shirt. But like you said, like the World Cup games where he could have featured in, like I think the Kocaeli game in the cup and. What other cup games were there before this one? I feel like there was one more. But wasn't there one against like a lower league team or something?
That was after they came. I think Kocaeli was the first one when he came.
Yeah, well, Kocaeli, I think Kocaeli he should have played for sure. But yeah, look, I don't think he is gonna... I mean, look, I think they want a high-profile goalkeeper, a proven goalkeeper in the summer, and I don't think Vazquez is gonna get that opportunity. And to have a second goalkeeper as a foreigner, that's not ideal, I think, if you already have a first goalkeeper that's a foreigner. Now, if you were to, for example, get Berke Özer, and then get Vasquez as a backup, that's different, but I don't think that's going to happen. But I liked what I saw. It's unfortunate we're not going to get to see anything more, I think. Let's talk about Thailand then, because I thought he was really solid in this game.
Yeah.
Had some good defensive interventions, but mainly had some really good offensive contributions. And I think it's ironic. His crossing
was really good. And
yes.
I was thinking during the game, like, look at Ridvan, he's playing all these crosses. Like, for example, see that chance O had on the header. Okay, people might get on O for that, but really the ball was going very slow. And see when you play in a cross and the ball's going slow, one of the hardest things to do is score from that header, because you can't generate that much power with a header. Most of the power needs to come from the cross, and the header's just really about guiding it in the direction you want to guide it into.
It's true. So, for example, if you have like a lofted cross that's close to the goal, then it's easy to knock that in. Even easier, perhaps, because you're close anyway. You don't have to generate a lot of power. But it was a cross that was a little bit further out, and he had to generate more power behind that, and it's difficult, like you say. But in general, I did think Ridvan actually had a decent game offensively. But Thailand, I mean, do you remember when we saw his debut? He immediately had like a really good cross for Tammy, which got saved. Right. And I remember us saying, "Oh man, if he can do that consistently, put in deliveries like that." And I feel like we've seen that, like in other games as well. Like Thailand has a decent delivery, and that's something you would have expected from Mr. Gökhan Sazda, who used to be a fucking winger. And I can't remember a single proper cross from Gökhan Sazda all season. I can't remember a single positive offensive contribution from that guy. And look, that's probably me just having some blinders on.
I think he's played some decent games, man. But
yeah, but offensively, I can't remember him playing good offensive games. I just can't. Can you remember?
I think Thailand showed more, but I think Gökhan definitely was an upgrade on Svensson in terms of the offensive work.
I don't think so. Svensson had assists and even a couple of goals, and his passing around the box was fine. Gökhan had, I could be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure Gökhan doesn't have a single assist, and I'd love to see his expected assists and compare that to Svensson. But and this is not because I dislike Gökhan, but I've just been really underwhelmed with Gökhan's offensive performance. So, yeah, 0 assists. And let's see, he has expected assists all season. This is not per 90. Expected assist, let me see. 1.61. So, getting 0 assists off of that is harsh. Now let's have a look at Svensson. That's higher than I imagined, by the way, because I genuinely can't really remember him setting up a good chance. But look, it's been a long season. Forgive me if I forget an obvious one. Let's see for Svensson last season, how many games did he play? Is that a good sample size? I don't know. This season. If he played anything this season, let's see. Last season. 31 matches and 2 assists, and let's see what his expected assists was. Of course, low expected assists, it's like 2.48, so it's not that much higher. But but yeah,
that's interesting.
I don't think Gökhan has. I don't know. I haven't seen anything. I'll put it this way: if Svensson was named Svenolo and had a Turkish passport, I would 100% prefer Svensson over Gökhan Sazda. Not a single hair on my head that would doubt that.
I would as well, man. I mean, he's a high caliber player. There's no doubt about that at all.
And for me, I expected Gökhan Sazda to at least be good offensively, and I feel like he's very underwhelming. He rarely puts in like these types of crosses Thailand puts in. I can't remember a single one. Gökhan doesn't even try it. I feel like he rarely tries a cross. Yeah, and it's not like he has a rocket of a right foot or something like a Gökhan or whatever, or like Hamio Murillo. So I don't know. I was for the longest time for Gökhan Saza. I was like, yeah, he's serviceable. He's a good rotation player. It's fine.
It's completely went out the window.
Yeah, and if you look at Thailand has so much upside. He's 19 or 20 years old now.
He's 20 now.
Yeah.
Sergen Yalçın's fucking being an asshole to him, man.
Oh, 100%. And
have you seen the rumours about Jallo as well? That apparently he's cadroed this year because of his behaviour.
Yeah, I did see that. I don't remember who the report was from, but apparently Thiago Jallo had some unprofessional behavior after the loss against Samsunspor in the dressing room after the game, and that's why he was not included in the squad for the game against Fatih Karagümrük. So, what was the behavior? We don't know. Some people can only speculate, right? Like the only thing I can imagine is that he was too happy-go-lucky after the game or something. Maybe laughing or joking in the dressing room after a loss. Yeah. That's the only thing I can really imagine.
I mean, don't get me wrong, man. Thiago Jallo does have a bit of a... he's got a reputation for being a bit of a dick. He was left cadro the shit at Porto as well last season.
Yeah. I mean, look, when a player gets cut without reason, really, it's hard for them to stay motivated, I think. I mean, look, we brought in a different caliber player in his position with Emmanuel Agbadou. But then when Agbadou wasn't able to play, was Jallo on the pitch? I don't even remember. And it's just like,
I think he did play against... he played...
Did he play 2 weeks ago?
What was that game? He played against Antalya, I suppose.
Okay, well... Yeah.
See that cross that Thailand put in, man? It goes over Owan Bilal. I think that was like one of the best crosses of the game.
Yeah, and he had a couple of good crosses in the game. He had like 2 or 3 good centers, I think. And look, I mean, we've watched Thailand play earlier in the season and said, look, he wasn't impressive, or he was okay. I feel like we've had some performances of him this season where we just thought it was okay. But this game, I thought he was one of the standout performers, and maybe that says something about the team performance. But
yeah. I mean, when you look at this game, it is quite a lot of back and forth. I'm just re-watching the highlights now. I mean, that chance Bilal Toure missed in the 61st minute, man. Like, that really should have been a goal.
Which one?
Had a couple of chances on the head.
Yeah,
the Bilal Toure one where his cross, his yellow has the
bar. Had a good header on a corner, which Grbic made a really good save on. So look, it's not like we didn't have chances, but
we did have chances in this game, but the game just. These stats tell you that we dominated this game, but if you watch this game, it wasn't the case.
No, I agree.
There was no. Didn't seem like there was much of a game plan. I think Karagümrük came dangerous quite a lot,
especially in the first half, right? Like, or the first 55 minutes, maybe. I feel like in the second half, I feel like their momentum kind of died. But in the first half, it very much felt like a game. Ooh, are they gonna score? Are they gonna score? Because Serginho was really dangerous for them.
Yeah, he had a good chance.
He was a handful. And that definitely was less so in the second half as far as I can recall. And we definitely pushed them back in the second half more and more. And I think that's what these stats reflect a little bit as well, because, that's the wrong button. Like, for example, like the ball possession, 70-30. Yeah, towards the end of the game, I'm sure that's correct. But like in the first half, I did not have the impression that we had 70% of the ball. In fact, there were large spans in the game where they were dominating us and were playing the ball around and similar to Alanyaspor. Maybe let's run these down quickly. So At the full-time whistle, 70% possession for Beşiktaş, 30 for Fatih Karagümrük, but as we just said, that does not properly represent this match, we feel. It does maybe the second half more so than the first half. XG 2.02 for Beşiktaş, 0.61 for Fatih Karagümrük, 20 total shots from Beşiktaş, 12 from Karagümrük, 7 on target from Beşiktaş, 3 from Karagümrük, 38 touches in the opposition box for us, 11 for them, and 3 big chances for us, 1 for them. We both missed all our big chances. Accurate passes, 615 and a 90% clip for us, 223 for them at a 79% clip. So that's a decent accuracy, at least for them. 12 fouls committed by us, 15 by them, 3 offsides for us, 2 for them. And then, how much is that? 5 corners for us, 2 for them. Yeah, and then the duels, Cathal, yeah, we statistically dominated those as well.
Yep. So duels, we won 56% of them. It was 48 to 37. On the ground, we won 30 to their 29, 51% of them. Aerial duels, we won 18 to their 8, 69% of them. Successful dribbles, it was 54%, 7. So we completed 7 of them. So that was 13 attempted. Yeah. They completed 5 at a success rate of 50%. So they attempted 10. 2 yellow cards for us and 3 for them.
Yeah, and I think these dual stats kind of maybe show the game better, because for me, I don't really look at the aerial duels that much. Aerial duels for me, yeah, that's more to do with, okay, who's pumping the ball in the box more, and that was obviously us. So for us to actually have that, dominate that is surprising. But the ground duels for me, that kind of represents more of how the flow in midfield is going, how the contesting for the ball is going, and it's really balanced there. It's 51% for us, 49 for them. That doesn't surprise me. But like you said, like, these stats look like we dominated this game, and I do think in the second half we did dominate. Probably we should have seen that in the first half more. I think if we would have, we probably would have won this game. But there was just in the first half especially, like, a real lack of, there was no sense of urgency there. And I feel like that's maybe got to do with the fact that we have the cup. The league is probably settled in our favor in 4th place, but let's have a look at that, because that is not 100% true either anymore. I mean, had we won against Fatih Karagümrük, then we would have basically been safe. But now the gap is only 5 points with Başakşehir and with Göztepe, so both of them have 51 points right now. Now we do have to head-to-head with both of them, so they would have to finish above us.
So they need 6 points,
yeah,
more than we get in these last 3 games.
So it's virtually 6 points. So we need 4 points from our last 3 games. So, and our last 3 games are on Friday. We have Gaziantep, then we have the cup game, so that doesn't matter for this. Then we have Trabzon at home, and then finally we have Rize away. So yeah, 4 points, you'd say that's not too bad. That's easily doable for Beşiktaş, right? But yeah, we better start off with a win on Friday in Gaziantep, I think, because otherwise it could become some sweaty moments if we need to beat Trabzon, if we need to beat Rize. Yeah, it's not a guarantee anymore, because we squandered these 2 points. Now look, Başakşehir and Göztepe don't have easy schedules either. I think Başakşehir still play Fenerbahçe away, if I'm not mistaken, this weekend even. But yeah, we all know how Fenerbahçe is doing right now. They just got smacked in that clash for the title, so they just fired their coach. Yeah, how are they gonna perform? How motivated are they gonna be? We don't really know. So let's have a look. Başakşehir have Fenerbahçe on the weekend, then they host Samsunspor, and then they finish the season away at Gaziantep. And let's have a look at Göztepe. They have on this weekend They are away at Trabzon. Then they are at home against Gaziantep. And then they finish the season away at Samsun. Now, I think our advantage here is that Samsun play both of them. And Samsun still have a little chance at Europe next season. But the gap there is 6 points. So that's very tough. But if they can beat them, then they can theoretically still sneak into 5th place. In theory, of course. It's very difficult. But look, I don't think that we won't finish 4th. I think 4th is safe-ish. I was very confident of being safe last week, but now after this draw, I have to drop it a couple of percentage points. I think we're safe.
They didn't get their act together. That's the thing, Ken.
Yes.
We should have won this. But they were they were a lot more dangerous than they should have been. And as we referred to, there was a real lack of a plan. Like, we had good chances. had a good chance. Ndidi had a good chance. Asllani had a good chance. Bilal had a good chance. Like, we created chances, man, in this game, but the gameplay wasn't good. It just wasn't. I wasn't convinced. Like, there wasn't a team there that was playing good collective football.
No, we are.
Just about
we are relying on individual talent, almost 100%.
And I think, do you not think that 0.61 XG for them seems a bit harsh, because they were dangerous quite a lot?
See, I think what that is that they didn't really create 100% chance, and so they created some half chances. And I think that's also kind of the thing with our XG, is that we created a bunch of half chances. And if you create a lot of half chances, you're gonna like stack that XG up. And we created obviously more half chances than they did. And I think very often this season we've had games that we drew where we scored maybe 1 goal and we had like 3+ XG. But we didn't necessarily have massive chances in those games. And I think that's kind of our problem, is we create chances, but we don't create quality chances. Or we don't create enough quality chances. Now, look, of course, there's the big chance stat. And we had a couple of chances in this game where you probably should score. But there isn't a single chance where I'm like, okay, 100, that's 100%. You need to score that 100%. That is such an easy chance. It's harder to miss it than to score it. And I feel like that's our biggest issue, and probably a big part of that is our lack of quality on the wings. But it's been an issue throughout. It's been an issue. It was kind of an issue last season as well. But last season we did have Rafa, who very frequently found himself in one-on-one positions simply because of his instincts and his talents to make those runs. We don't really have that anymore now. We don't have that type of player making runs from in behind the striker, because, O is very frequently isolated because he's the only guy up top. We see El Bilal getting in more positions because O is more a lightning rod, attracting the defenders and giving chances to El Bilal. And we saw that against Alanya. We saw that again in this game to an extent, I think. But El Bilal is no Rafa in that regard. So he's also no Kyle Larin. He's not bad at it, but he's not amazing at it either. So I just think we lack proper big chance creation. I think that's
we do. I think we do lack that, and I think we lack a plan going forward. But it's hard to blame the coach completely when your best winger's kind of just his form's dropped off the face of the earth, like the way that Johnny's has. But at the same time, I think there is clear regression in this team, and you can't hold the coach responsible for that.
Yeah, no.
Oh, that's correct. Mustafa's one. I forgot about that, and he couldn't hit the ball. That's
he
right.
Fluffed it, right? And and on stuff like that, you have to blame Sergen, because why is Mustafa coming on when you have Jota on the bench? And we all know Jota is probably I don't know if we can still say he's the best pure finisher in the squad, because I think O's a pretty decent finisher, but he's top 2. So why is Jota not coming off the bench? He scored a good goal against Antalyaspor, played 25 minutes in the next game against Samsun, played 3 minutes in the cup game against Alanya, and now was an unused sub. What is this need to give playing time to Mustafa Hekimoğlu? I don't understand it. Is it because he's young? Is it because he's 18? I'm sorry, but you have a better chance at winning a match if you bring Jota on over Mustafa Hekimoğlu. And look, Mustafa can always score an accidental goal. It's happened before.
I've just watched that chance again, man. That is, oh my god, it's terrible.
Jota, 100% is that's an overstatement, but Jota, I'm very confident he scores that. I'm very confident he puts that away. And Mustafa doesn't have that. He doesn't have that goal instinct. He's not a goal scorer. And he's a striker, but he's not a goal scorer. And what is he? Is he a target man? No, he's not a target man. Is he a wing forward? No. What is he?
Just a big lump. That's what I think he is.
Yeah, a klutz. He's a houten class up top without having the benefits of being a coat hanger. A coat hanger is a way to describe a striker you can hang your head on. He's not even that though. He has the stature. He's like 187, 190 or something. I don't know. He's pretty tall. He has a good physique, but he doesn't really win duels. He doesn't win aerials. He doesn't hold up the ball. He wins a foul here and there. He almost won a penalty. Credit to him for that. So he's not completely useless. I'm not saying that, but Jota is just a more seasoned, more well-rounded player, and he should be the guy coming off the bench. I don't understand. Like, you're still going to need Jota in the cup games as well. Like, if you find yourself in a dodgy position in the game against Konya or in the final, and you have 10 minutes, 15 minutes left, and you're going to bring on Mustafa Hekimoğlu instead of Jota, I'm sorry, but then you deserve to get sacked. That is not proper team management you're doing right there.
It's not. It's not. I mean, I'm still to see what all these coaches see in Mustafa. Honestly, yet to see it.
I don't know.
Yet to see it, man. These guys must have some sort of special vision that we don't have, man. Because all I see is, to be honest, a big sack of potatoes, man. That's probably putting it lightly. Yeah, I could have said a sack of something else, but.
Yeah.
Do you want to get some comments, Can?
Yeah. Omer says Mustafa lost an aerial duel against Kante. Should never be a target man. Never be. Yeah. I mean, look. Kante is a really good player, and he's very good in duels. He might be small, but that doesn't mean he's bad in the air. Grey Wolf said he's tired of Beşiktaş underperforming against low-hanging fruit in the league, and we need to be able to dominate these matches. I mean, obviously, Kartal's right. But this is not an exclusive issue to Beşiktaş, right? Like, Fenerbahçe lost to this Fatih Karagümrük. Let's not forget that. But also, there's a difference, of course. When you play at home and you're Beşiktaş, you should be able to dominate these sorts of games. I was very underwhelmed with the performance against Alanyaspor despite the score. And Alanyaspor are a much better team, of course, than Fatih Karagümrük. But yeah, we don't dominate matches. And I think it's funny because Sergen was criticizing Ole Gunnar Solskjaer for not knowing what it is to be Beşiktaş. And a lot of fans were criticizing Ole Gunnar Solskjaer for the same. And those same fans are quiet now. Sergen isn't doing anything to play more dominantly. In fact, sometimes I feel like we're trying to be a counter-attacking team, but a counter-attacking team that doesn't press to win the ball and to hit the opponents quickly on the counter. So I don't really understand what's going on here. You said no plan, and I have to agree, because at least when you're trying to counter, then you're trying to win the ball back. And I feel like we're not doing that. I don't know if you've noticed, Katha, but whenever our opponents are in possession, when we press, we have one of our players moving towards the ball. We don't press as a team. We have one guy at like a medium pace going towards the ball so that they can't keep the ball for the rest of their lives. And then if you look at that guy's passing options, they aren't getting closed down. So how do you expect to win the ball back?
Yeah.
You're basically waiting for an error. But if you don't put pressure on a team, then the likelihood of an error is much smaller. So I don't get what we're doing.
Yeah, but if Sergen was saying, "Oh, you know, I hit him, Hodja," and he was on the TV, he's saying, "I'll play that game."
Yeah,
but we've not seen that game yet. It's been almost how many months now? August. We're in April now. It's been 8 months, and we're yet to see that game, Sergen Hodja.
Yeah,
we need to see it.
Yeah, and
you've had transfers now.
Exactly, and he's got some good transfers, and he spent a lot of money, and you can't blame the lack of wingers for everything. And I said this last season too, when Ole was the coach. I said, look, there's only so much you can expect without wingers, and the same thing still applies to Sergen. But he has a much better spine of a team than Ole had. And I feel like Ole played a better game, a more intense game, pressed higher. There's just, and he was tinkering more. He was trying stuff. I have to give Sergen props for the fact that he managed to get us more set piece goals. That's the only thing I can really. That's the only thing we can say that has really improved. But you also have to take into consideration he has Orkun Kökçü. And last season, we didn't have an Orkun Kökçü taking those corners, taking those free kicks.
No, he did not.
We had Masuaku, but not the same thing.
It's not the same. Exactly.
Yeah.
Let me get through some of these comments, Ken.
Yeah.
Right. Let's get up. Okay. So, the Dutch Eagle, the financier, said salute, Eagles, salute. Ahmad said about the chance we talked about, the Julian's Kante you referred to. Grey Wolf, tired of Beşiktaş always struggling with bottom half teams. They should be able to dominate the game against bottom half of the table teams, especially the last place team with tons of quality opportunities. We should be winning easy with a lead of 3 or so. It's not going to happen, but Sergen needs to go. I mean, I think it's a bit early to say he needs to go, man. Let's see how this cup run goes. If he wins the cup, I'd say give him next season as well.
Yes.
Back some good winners. I mean, one thing I noticed, Can, I don't know if you picked up on this, but Wilfred Ndidi, Formal gave him an 8.1, but I honestly wasn't that impressed, especially in the first half. He looked pretty shaky. He lost some balls under pressure, some bad passing, was dispossessed once as well. He did have a good save. He did have a good intervention from after that Devin Vasquez bad pass, which led to Vasquez making a save at the end as well. But I don't think he was that good, man, to deserve an 8.1 rating.
No,
I don't think so either. The first half, even though at times in the first half he was bad, like his passing was bad, and he lost some balls under pressure.
Let's have a look at these numbers, because let's maybe look over these. And
I think when you look at the numbers on here, he's won 2 out of 4 ground duels and 2 out of 2 aerial duels. He's shown 0 dispossessed, but I'm pretty sure he lost the ball at one point. I'm sure his passing accuracy was high, 94%, but there was some sloppy moments. Even if you look back at those highlights, there was some sloppy moments in that first half from Wilfred Ndidi. They could have been dangerous.
Maybe. Yeah.
Olaitan, we liked in the first half. The second half,
he was great. He was fantastic in the first half, and he was so bad in the second half. It was night and day. He did everything right in the first half, and everything he tried in the second half didn't come off. He had a couple of bad passes, and it's just night and day. And it's a shame because the first half Olaitan was really good.
That pass he tried to give to Oman in that second half, and I think we would have won that game if he got that pass off properly.
Yeah. But look, it's not. We're in a position right now where we can afford to draw this game and not sulk about it for days. But I agree with you, and I kind of follow what Grey Wolf is saying, where I have concerns. Now, obviously, look, if we win the cup, I think you have to give him another season. The problem is, if you don't win the cup, I think he's still gonna get another season. And to me, if he does not win the cup, then he has failed. If he wins the cup, he deserves the benefit of the doubt. He deserves more time. But I have serious doubts whether Sergen can get the football out of this team that we need to. And even if you give him really good wingers, like top-notch wingers, and if you give him Grimaldo at left back, you can give him a super team, a really, really good team. But I thought in 2021, 2022, he had a really good team too. And he didn't do so well with it. Look, okay, there was a lot of aging players in that team, so it's a little different, but I don't know. I am not seeing anything right now in the performance of the team that tells me give this guy a better team and it will happen. Because like I'm gonna make the parallel now with the basketball team. Dusan Alimpejevic. You know, I saw a stat the other day: 5 finals, 5 losses. I watched the final, these games now in Europe. These two matches. I watched the game against Fenerbahce. I watched before. Well, anyway, so what I'm seeing there is a tactically, from the little I know from basketball, I am no basketball connoisseur, but what I'm seeing is tactics are not the problem. The team is set up really well, and that is the reason why they have gotten to these peaks. The problem I'm seeing there is a lack of individual quality, because literally
high pressure
under pressure, whatever, this team can literally go almost an entire quarter without scoring a damn point. Like if you score 12 points in a quarter, that's abysmal. That's pathetic. Now, with Dusan Alimpejevic, I can confidently say, and I'm not a basketball connoisseur like I said, but give this man a better team, more individual quality, give him maybe one big star, one guy that can make those 3-pointers, whatever, he's gonna win you trophies. I am so confident in that. But with Sergen, I cannot say that right now. I don't feel that confidence because I don't see that the tactical plan is solid. I can't tell you, okay, this team, all it lacks is a little bit of individual quality and we are gonna steamroll the league next season. No, because tactically, I am not impressed whatsoever with what Sergen's putting down on the mat. He is relying on Orkun's brilliance, on Orkun, on El Bilal Touré, on whatever. He's relying on individual players to step up and to win him matches. And look, of course, good players are very important, and ultimately, good players are what gets you across the finish line. But if your tactical plan isn't better than the opponents, then you're going to struggle against teams that are equal in quality to you, or even better in quality to you. How do you expect to beat teams in even matchups if you're always going to be relying just on one or two players' individual brilliance? Look at Fenerbahce. They have so much better players than anyone else in the league, bar Galatasaray, and they still struggle in so many matches because tactically, Tedesco is not a great coach. And some Fener fans seem to think he is. I don't know why they think that. But I'm sorry, if with that team, with that quality, you can't dominate everyone except for...
Don't get me wrong, man. I think the striker thing was a big failure on the Fenerbahce board's behalf, but
Of course, that's like our issue with the wingers. They have the same thing, just inverted. For them, it's the striker. For us, it's the wings.
So that was a huge failure from their board. You let go of Nesri, let go of Duran, you sign a 19-year-old that's got no proven track record. But at the same time, see when Tedesco came in, I looked at his track record and I said, like, this guy's not really done a great job anywhere, apart from Schalke in one season. He's not done a job
I think he did.
He's not done a job anywhere that proves that this guy is capable to get Fenerbahce over the hump and win a league title.
I think he won the cup at Frankfurt, but I understand what you mean. No, and that's like, look.
I think he's never. I don't think he's ever really been in a job where he's over.
Performed.
Where he's got over 2 points per game. Let me look at that just now. Maybe at Fenerbahce, but before Fenerbahce, let's see, Domenko, Tedesco.
So
you keep talking, Kat.
I am gonna respond to what Grey Wolf's saying. I think Sergen is not a good coach. He never did anything with any other teams he coached. That is not really true. He did do pretty well with Malatyaspor, qualified for Europe.
That's what.
Beat who did they beat? Kathleen, you checked this last week.
Ljubljana.
Yeah, they beat Ljubljana. They beat they lost against Partizan in the final round of qualifiers.
Yeah.
1-0 or something, right?
So I'm going to just talk about Tedesco.
Yeah.
Up until Fenerbahce, this coach has never had. He's never had a 2.0 points per game. Fenerbahce is the only team he's done it, and he got exactly 2.0.
Yeah.
1.75 at Belgium, which is a disgrace when you consider the talent Belgium have got. Leipzig 1.87, Spartak Moscow 1.69, Schalke 1.59. Erzgebirge 1.82, Hoffenheim 1.6. So Fenerbahce, when he got 2.06 for Stuttgart under 17s, but I'm not counting that because it's not a team.
Yeah, no.
If Fenerbahce brought this coach in, I looked at his track record. I looked at his playing style. When I said this guy is not the right fit, I don't know. It just seems like, see, when we do bring foreign coaches to Turkey, we don't go for the right profiles. I mean, even if you look at the coaches we've signed, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, known more as a transitional coach. Giovanni Van Bronckhorst, known more as a transitional coach. Same time, actually, I mean, I was a special fan of
these
Gio.
These are at least coaches that have won major trophies, right? Like
but at the same time, like these guys were like Gio was out of the game for almost 2 years when he came to us, a year and a half. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was out of the game for over 3 years. And you look at Fenerbahce, Mourinho, I think the wrong profile. Tedesco, the wrong profile, and lack of success as well. I just think when we bring these foreign coaches to Turkey, we don't even bring the right profiles, and then we turn around and say they're unsuccessful.
Did you ever have the impression that with Ole, the problem was tactically? I rarely thought tactically the plan was bad.
I mean, those times I think he messed up, man. Like when he brought in two cold defenders against Rizespor and they conceded that goal. I mean, Han fucked up. I mean, I don't know so much about tactically being wrong, but I'd say there's definitely times where the football was very underwhelming.
Yes, but
if I'm being completely honest,
how could the football not be underwhelming with the limitations that squad had, right? Like, if you look at today's squad, I think there's a lot more potential for good football. I think if you give this squad to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, I think you play better football. Now, it still would be limited because you don't have proper wingers. So that would still be a limiting factor. But I would be much more confident in giving Ole Gunnar Solskjaer a good squad that he can be successful. Now, whether that means winning the title, I'm not saying that. But I think at least he would be able to get some good football out of it. And with Sergen right now, I'm not confident in that. I'm not confident in us being able to play good football next season. I think we are going to rely very heavily on individual players. Now look, if you get a monster 6 and you get 2 really good wingers and you get Grimaldo at left back, yeah, I think it's almost difficult not to play good football then. So
I don't know. I think you could be surprised, Ken.
yeah, maybe. I mean, but yeah, if you get big players, if you get big team players who know what it is to win, you get a lot more. Like if you like for example, Edin Dzeko and a Tadic, they were 35 and 38 years old. But there's a reason that Fenerbahce got 99 points that season and it wasn't Ismail Kartal. Trust me, it wasn't Ismail Kartal. There's a reason Ismail Kartal has never done that before or after. Having Tadic and Dzeko on the pitch, being the bosses on the pitch, at a point where they could physically still go. And look, they dropped off the next season, but what do you expect? Like 35 and 38 years old. Yeah. They're not gonna be able to keep doing that for 24 months. And they had a Szymanski who was on fire, and they had, Fred who was on fire, and if you look afterwards, Fred dropped off, Tadic dropped off, Dzeko dropped off, Szymanski dropped off. A lot of players that were delivering that suddenly dropped off, but yeah, no, I think if we can get like a young, like for example Grimaldo, that's a Tadic at left back. That would make a big difference for us, I think. If you can then add a really good left winger, a really good right winger, it's going to make a big difference. But I think you have a much better chance at getting across the finish line if when some guys have an off day or some people are injured or suspended, if your tactical plan is sound, you have a much bigger chance at winning that away game in Konya when you're missing Grimaldo or you're missing Orkun or you're missing this or you're missing that. Because if your tactical plan is sound, then you can always fall back on a sound tactical plan, even when the individuals maybe don't show up. But if you're going to rely basically entirely on your individuals, then you also depend on them performing week in and week out. And even 75 million Victor Osimhen doesn't do that, right? Like you can't expect that. Like, look at the run Orkun has gone on the second half of the season. Like, he's performed so well, but against Alanya in this game, I thought that was some of his lesser games in 2026, quite frankly. I think he hasn't, these last 2-3 games, hasn't been as good as he was before. That doesn't mean he's bad. But since the international break, I kind of feel like Orkun's form dipped a little bit. Now, obviously, Orkun is an amazing footballer, and his form dipping doesn't mean he's bad. He's still really good, but it makes a difference when he's unstoppable or he's good. It makes a big difference. I'm seeing in the first half of the season, he was good, but he wasn't unstoppable. Second half of the season, he was unstoppable for a long time there, and now I feel like he's not quite unstoppable at the moment. So that makes a big difference because he's not scoring. If he scores in this game, we win, right? If all scores in this game, we win. But they don't, because they had a bit of an off day, and they're allowed to have an off day, and that's when your tactical plan comes into play. So you can rely on maybe Milot Rashica to score the goal, or Václav Černý, or Junior Alaitan, or whatever. Score a team goal, score a set-piece goal, I don't know. But, yeah, I don't have the confidence in Sergen, and for me, winning the cup is essential to being able to, at least give him the benefit of the doubt. And for me, if he doesn't win the cup, for me that's a massive failure, because then he finishes 4th in the league, hopefully finishes 4th in the league, and he doesn't win the cup, which is put on a silver platter for you, because Galatasaray and Fenerbahce went out already. And let's be honest, I don't know if you watched Trabzonspor against Samsun in the cup. Wasn't impressive. Now they lost on the weekend against Konya. And Konya are gonna be really difficult in that semi-final. We're fortunate to play them.
Ilhan Paul's doing really well.
Yeah, doing amazing. He beat Fenerbahce, he beat Galatasaray, he beat Trabzonspor, all in the second half of the season. Let's hope he doesn't add Beşiktaş to that list because
be bad for us.
It would be really bad, yeah.
It would be a disaster.
So
I've got some comments here. Nasser said he came at the perfect time as soon as Ollie was mentioned. He's saying that he thinks Jota would have been used more by Ollie and Journey, he could have given a confidence boost, but at the same time, Murat Özen again mentioned that Chelsea's got issues with his family and that he's a very sensitive guy. So if that's true, man, I mean, I can't blame the guy, Chelsea, to be honest. I can't blame him. I don't know how much Ollie could have done to turn that around. Probably more than Sergen, but at the same time, man, if your wife's sick, I'm going to be honest, if your wife's sick, it's like, and seriously sick, like I couldn't give Malta a job. My wife was seriously sick.
No, I 100% understand that as well. And look, that's not even being sensitive. I think it's a little bit of a disgrace to call him sensitive because if his wife is seriously ill, of course his head is not going to be focused on football. I don't give a flying rat's ass how much money he makes. And if he's a professional, blah, blah, blah, fuck off. No, of course if his wife is seriously ill and we don't know what's going on there, then but that does, of course, doesn't help us on the pitch. I don't blame Czerny at all, but for Beşiktaş, that does mean we need to find a solution.
Graham Will says we need a track. I think he means a coach with a proven track record with a restrained budget of a mid-table team that can deal with a high pressure, not a transitional coach due to a sacking. It's been a rush choice.
Which proven coach is? What are you saying, man? Are you saying Şenol Güneş?
Unfortunately, there's no coaches sitting outside our facilities. Well, no one that's
for me.
Any merit.
Hey, if Sergen goes, give İlhan Palut the chance, man. Give İlhan Palut the chance. That's for me. He's a Beşiktaşlı. He's done well at every club he's worked at. Okay, Rize last year wasn't great anymore. He kind of ran its course. But he did really good at Rize initially as well. Did fantastic at Konya his first time around. Did great at Hatay. Where else did he coach? I mean, look, this guy, for me, right now, if you look at the Turkish coaching landscape, now obviously there's Ada Turan who's doing very good at Shakhtar. But we all know, I think, that's a sensitive one. Çağdaş Atan, for me, has dropped off. He did really well for a while, but then Başakşehir didn't.
Konya was an absolute.
Yeah,
Konya had an absolute disaster.
Konya was bad. Başakşehir was bad. So you can't really, Nuri's doing
to be
well
fair,
at Başakşehir now.
To be fair, he did do really well in the first year with Başakşehir. He took them from the relegation zone to 4th place.
Yeah.
I think he done okay last season as well.
Yeah, but if you look at what Nuri's doing at Başakşehir right now, then you can tell again that's, okay, Çağdaş. And also, if you remember, just before he was fired at Konya, he said something really stupid, do I have Overmars instead of Muleka, basically? And now you can see, İlhan Palut doesn't have Overmars either, but he beat Galatasaray, he beat Fenerbahce, he beat Trabzonspor.
Yeah, I think İlhan Palut has definitely pulled ahead. I mean, the best kind of comparison is that they've had the same team this season. One's done fantastic.
Yeah.
Another one's done shit. I think as well, if İlhan Palut was to come, he should come with his staff. Stephen Cocker, man. Come. If that was to happen.
Hey, Katal, hot take. I think İlhan Palut has never been seriously looked at by Beşiktaş. I think it would require him to knock out Beşiktaş in the semi-finals of the Turkish Cup for him to get taken seriously. I genuinely believe that. I think
I think a big part of it to do with Cannon is unfortunately because he's Kurdish as well, and he speaks with an accent.
Yeah, I think so too. Unfortunately, I think that's probably part of the reason. But I also think that the fact that he's never done well against big teams previously, and I think that matters too. I think if you are a coach that gives a really hard time to the big teams, and especially the team that would have to want you, Beşiktaş being in this case, if he is the type of coach that beats you or takes points from you and makes it really difficult for you every time, I think then you're automatically going to look towards that person a lot easier. And now he has, for the first time, done really well in those big matches. Beat Galatasaray, beat Fenerbahçe, beat Trabzon. If he now adds Beşiktaş's scalp to that list, then I think he's going to be a very serious candidate come whenever the next coaching selection process begins. And of course, it also is very dependent on what are they going to do then. Are they going to go by the narrative of only Turkish coaches work in Turkey because foreigners can't be successful? If they stick with that narrative, the list is small now. The options are small. You got Şenol Güneş. Can we go back to that for a third time? You got İlhan Palut. You got Nuri Şahin. You got Arda Turan. And who else do you have, right? Burak is not a serious option right now. Çağdaş Atan, I don't think is a serious option anymore right now.
I think you do need to turn to Ilhan. He's on form coach, huge win in the cup in the last round. I think he's drawn one game and won the rest or something. Is that right?
I'm not sure. There were a lot of green marks in that list that he had, but I think he had maybe one loss or something. But regardless, they've done really, really well.
Yeah, he lost. Let's see. Oh, he's lost a couple of games, it seems.
But that's not abnormal, man. He's coaching Konyaspor. Let's be honest. Come on. I mean, you can't expect him to win everything.
Let's see.
He's beat Trabzon at home 2-1. He beat Fenerbahçe at home 1-0. Antalya 0-2 away. Fatih Karagümrük 3-0 at home. 2-2 away at Samsun. 1-0 at home to Gençlerbirliği. 1-2 away at Kocaeli.
He's got 1, 2, 3, 4.
Last loss, Başakşehir away 2-0. Then before that they beat Galatasaray 2-0. And then
in 13 games he's got a draw and 2 losses, so he's won 10 games, which is amazing.
Yeah. It's phenomenal. Especially if you look at Konya, it's not like they have an amazing squad, man. Like, they have a couple of interesting players, like a couple of Trabzonspor rejects, Olaikbe, Enis Bardi. I mean, they gave Umut Nayer away, their best striker. They have Muleka.
Yeah.
I mean, Kramer up top. It's Jeftovic. What else do they have from the top of my head? I mean, look, this is not a... They don't have an amazing squad. They have it.
Yep, and they've beaten Fenerbahçe and Galatasaray recently as well, and that's the biggest thing.
Yeah, and Trabzon.
Yeah, and Trabzon too. That's right. They've beaten the top 3 teams.
Yeah, and
if he beats us, man, if he makes it, if they beat us in the cup, man, I think you'd be daft not to try and poach him.
But he wouldn't
we
get
don't want
the job, most likely anyway. They'd probably go back for a foreigner. And let's be honest, before anyone gets fired, Sergen Adal needs to fuck off. Because if Sergen fails, that's on Adal.
He brought him, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
He sacked his coach after the first league game just because you get put out of Europe when you had no wingers. Like, literally the only winger on the team at that point was decisive. I think he was injured. And we get put out of Europe even though we had 100% record in the league. And they sacked the coach. And if you change your coach like that and then you still fail miserably, then you need to go as well.
Yeah.
If you're going to change your... There needs to be some success off the back of changing your coach after the first league game.
Yeah, I agree. I don't have much to add to it.
Yeah. I mean, Umar said that he thinks Nouri could be given a chance as well, possibly.
Yeah.
I'd rather
I think Nouri and Ilhan Palut are the only options right now. But both are taken, both have jobs. So then you get into a situation where you have to pay their clubs a compensation, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, but I hope that doesn't happen. For the record, I want us to win a cup, and that means Sergen stays. So if we win, and that means Sergen stays, I choose that, of course.
Of course. Yeah. All right. I think we're done talking about this stuff. Do you want to talk about transfers? A little bit of transfer rumors. There's a lot of stuff going around, or do you just want to call it and do that another time?
I mean, we can talk briefly about maybe some of the names mentioned. Grimaldo.
Yeah.
Obviously a huge name, but to be honest, I think it's one of those things just now that's going on, like the names like Grimaldo, and there's like the centre back from Leverkusen as well being mentioned. I think a lot.
He's extending. So
yeah, I was going to get to that. Yeah. So he's extended his contract. I think some of this is like what they call taking the gas operations in Turkish Gazlama operation, where they just kind of take the gas off the fans a wee bit, like getting them to calm down by putting these big names out to the press. I don't think any of them are realistic. Xhaka might have been realistic because he's getting older now and he's at Sunderland, but and they're saying that Sergen's not keen on him due to his age, which I understand, but same time Xhaka's still doing really well. But yeah, I do think the name's been mentioned just now. I mean, if you look at the centre back, he's just extended his contract. I think there is a bit of a we'll put some good names out there and get the fans excited to get them off our back kind of thing going on. I don't know what you think, Cam.
I don't think that's the case. I genuinely think these Grimaldo rumors are true. They've been persisting for a while already. They've been going back for about maybe 2 months. There's definite interest in multiple players from Leverkusen. That's been widely reported. I think Beşiktaş are serious about him. Now, whether he's realistic or not, that's a different matter. I don't
think he's serious about us. That's the problem.
Well, supposedly he wants to go back to Spain. That's his priority. But the wage package we are able to offer him exceeds that of what most Spanish clubs would be able and willing to offer him. Now, there is rumored interest from some big clubs though. Barcelona, AC Milan. Some big clubs are rumored and linked with him, so I definitely think that he's not an easy transfer. Also, Leverkusen supposedly want a decent fee for him. He has a contract until 2027, 20 million euros. Like, I would not be opposed to giving him a big contract, like 5 million a year, similar to Orkun, 2-3 year contract. He's 30 years old, going on 31. That's kind of pushing it. But I think that's what you need to do to convince that type of a player. Now, I'd be okay with that, but I think that paying a 20 million euro fee for a near 31-year-old player is absurd. So I think if you can get that down to maybe 10 million, that's a different story. He is a very special player, no doubt. If you look at his numbers, they're insane. They're basically like James Tavernier, except for at a much higher level. And obviously on the left-hand side, except for at the right-hand side. So, and look, let's be honest, left back has been an issue for us for for a long time. So if you get like a Grimaldo on the left and you get a Murillo on the right, then you suddenly go from having Ridvan and Gökhan Sazda to now having two fantastic wing backs. Very important to point out, wing backs.
I'm seeing this from here. I think he might have a case here. I can't say I know. See, if I told you I've watched Grimaldo's at every game and I know the player very well, I'd be talking shit, man. But I have seen this quite a lot that if we're not going to play a 3 at the back, he won't be a good fit. So it would be a matter of having to make those. I'd say making those adjustments in possession, where maybe in possession, if the CDM is going to go in between the centre backs, then maybe Grimaldo's going to push up. Then it could work potentially.
My big question with that is, yes, 3 at the back at Leverkusen under Xabi Alonso, but I can't remember Benfica playing 3 at the back.
No, neither can I.
I'm
I don't
pretty
think
confident Benfica
remember
played
playing.
4-3-3 and have been playing 4-3-3 for many, many years. And every coach that's gone there has played 4-3-3 for as long as I can remember. So I can't imagine that at Benfica he didn't play in a 4-man back line, and obviously his numbers there were phenomenal as well. So, I mean, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think that he is incapable of playing in a 4-man back line. Now, obviously, with a player like that, if you're making an investment like that, you probably want to optimize his performance as much as possible. I think Umut Öztürk also pointed that out. He's, I think, one of the guys that does like those tactical breakdown videos for Sports Digitale. And he pointed out, look, you can perfectly play Alejandro Grimaldo at left back in the 4-man back line. But when you get a player like him, it's all about getting the most out of him because you're investing a lot of money in him. So really, if you want to get the most out of him, you need to play him as a wing back in a 3-man back line. But that brings more complications with it than in my opinion, because then you go from not needing wingers anymore, which is fine because we don't have them. But then you do need to think, if you're gonna play a system with wing backs, then you can't just have 2 wing backs in your squad. Then you need backups for those wing backs. And Ridvan, if Grimaldo is injured or suspended, is Ridvan going to be able, you're gonna have such a huge drop off in quality if he misses a game. And the same, I think Thailand's probably will be able to put in a serviceable performance, but I don't know. I feel like if you're gonna do something like that, if you're gonna switch around the system, and would Sergen do that? That's a big question mark as well, of course.
I think so.
Yeah. So
yeah, I was just checking there, Can. Benfica under Roger Schmidt in his last season,
Yeah,
he definitely played a 4-2-3-1,
yeah,
which is Schmidt's kind of classical system.
Yeah.
And Grimaldo played as a left back in that system and still got 13 assists that year.
Yeah.
And it goes.
And who was before Schmidt? I don't remember, but I don't think, especially, and Grimaldo played there for a long time, so and I think for the most part Benfica always play a 4-3-3 or a variation thereof. So I do think that we have to play 3 at the back narrative if Grimaldo comes is a little overblown, because he has definitely played and done well in a 4-man back line. So I think that's a little bit of recency bias, because he's shown so brightly under Xabi at Leverkusen, in a fantastic Leverkusen side, and he was so important in that team, and he had such impressive numbers. I think that maybe blurs people a little bit. Also, keep in mind, he's not getting any younger, and if you ask me, left wing back is physically very more demanding than a normal left back. That's just what I think, because you have to. Yeah. Although you could argue that your defensive workload is less, so I don't know. It kind of just depends on how you look at it, I guess. But get a really good number 6 that can dominate, and then you can still play 3 at the back in possession if you want. So, and out of position as well. So I mean, look. So we talk about some other names. I mean, Grimaldo, obviously, I think for us is a bit of a pipe dream. And also, he doesn't solve all the problems. Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, has there been any wingers mentioned apart from fucking Yusuf Sari?
Yes.
That's what can tell me. Who's been mentioned?
Yes, Irfan Cankavic.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, that's a. It's going to change all the thoughts.
Oos Aydin has been.
Yeah, that's a good one.
But those are the ones, right? That's like all you've got. Like, if you want a Turkish winger those are your three options, probably, right?
I mean, if you can sign Olszajden, brilliant, but then we need to sign 2 top quality foreign wingers as well.
Yeah, definitely.
We just have to.
Yeah. And supposedly Yusuf Sarı, Başakşehir want 5 million for him. Now everyone knows I like Yusuf Sarı. Everyone knows I've been calling for him for 3 years, saying get this guy since he wasn't at Adana Demir, and just saying like it's easy, it's a no-brainer. He's gonna be cheap. Get him. You could have signed him last year for 500,000 euros, and now you're dealing with fucking Başakşehir because you couldn't fucking seal that deal because Samet Aybaba didn't want him because he's a counter player. You're not bringing a guy like that to be your star or your starter. And
you're bringing him mate, to run out teams in the second half of games, really, maybe last half an hour, 30 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. You're bringing him in to be Kerim Frey, basically. And I don't understand why Başakşehir supposedly want 5 million for him, by the way, because his performance this season has dropped off compared to last season. So Yusuf Sarı is not worth that money. Like, I like Yusuf Sarı, he's not worth that money. If you can get him for 2 million, 2.5 tops, you can do that. He's still young enough. I think he's 27. Maybe he's 28 already. So that's already starting to get a little So, yeah. I mean, Fenerbahce supposedly, I think, want around 5 million for Olszajden. I don't like giving money to rivals, but I'd much rather us give 5 million for Olszajden or 4 million for Olszajden than 5 million for Yusuf Sarı or 4 million for Yusuf Sarı. It's too much money, and it's also ridiculous. He's like, they paid 500k for him, and he's not that instrumental for them. Like, no.
Yeah.
But that's
and that's a good comment. He said Yusuf Sarı, Olszajden, İrfan Can Kahveci. These names are not what I want to hear. These are backup dancers.
You need some backup dancers though.
Yeah, he says go sign them quietly and put them on the bench. Who cares about these? They're serving as slop as news. I mean, it's not the signings that are going to excite them, but I think Yusuf Sarı and Olszajden, if the price is right, are moves you can make. İrfan Can, you shouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole at this point.
At least he can score an Olympico. He can score an Olympico. Yeah, I've never been a big fan of İrfan Can, mainly because he's an idiot, not because he's not talented. He's a very talented footballer. But for me, as soon as we got Cengiz, that chapter closed because you can't have both, in my opinion. Now the Cengiz is going again. For me, if you can get İrfan Can cheap, I think you can probably get a better return on investment with İrfan Can. But I agree with Ömer. It's probably not worth the hassle. He's a little bit of a, I don't know. I don't think he's good for the dressing room. He's a funny character, man. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
He's a quality player, but he's also on the wrong side of 30. The only advantage is that Fenerbahce really want him gone. He is on a good wage there. I think he'll be cheap. I think he would be really cheap to acquire. Whereas with Olszajden, he wouldn't be cheap. They paid 7 million for him or something. He's, how old is he? 25. So they're still gonna want some return there. They're gonna want a couple of million for him. Probably. Supposedly they had a deal with Trabzonspor in January for 5 million, but he didn't want to go to Trabzon. So 5 million. Do you want to spend 5 million on a backup? I mean, if you get all your other positions sorted, your starters, if you get them sorted first, and then you have 5 million left, and you then want to go and spend that on him, maybe. But I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't like the idea. I wouldn't say no to him, by the way. I think the money is a problem. Like, it's too much money.
I mentioned he wants to hear realistic and good names like on the left. He wants to hear Ziriko and Arman Lorente, not Sergen's next Turkish star project. Side note, İrfan Can Kahveci was sent away from Fenerbahce for ruining team chemistry. Why would we even be liking to a Chuma-like player?
I mean, I don't think there was much to ruin there, but to be fair, man, I think Fenerbahce do a really good job at ruining their team chemistry themselves because they bring in an entire new team every summer. Same thing now.
Yeah.
If you look at them talking online, like the Fenerbahce fans, it's again like the team needs rebuild. It's every summer. Rebuild. So, like, how do you expect them to have team chemistry when it's an entire new team every year?
The best Fenerbahce was the 22-23 Fenerbahce there. And sorry, not 22-23, sorry, 23-24.
Yeah, with Tadic and Dzeko running the show, yeah.
23-24 was the best one, and I think that summer they got worse in the summer 2024. The Mourinho hire was wrong, and then I just think some of the players he signed made the team worse rather than better.
Yeah,
obviously Fatih was big as well.
The big difference, in my opinion, was in 23-24, for about 70% of the season, Dusan Tadic and Edin Dzeko ran the show, and they were basically the bosses on and off the pitch. And then Ismail Kartal got a big head, started upsetting his stars by taking them out in certain matches. Tadic and Dzeko showed publicly not being impressed with Kartal's decisions, went downhill from there. Then Mourinho came in, Alessandro Maximin came in, and Tadic was suddenly, his role was reduced. He got taken out of his natural position at left wing, got put on the 10, got put on the bench more, and suddenly the thing that made that Fenerbahce side great the season before were those leadership figures on the pitch. Their roles were reduced, and I think that was the magic of that Fenerbahce. I think a fantastic Dusan Tadic and Edin Dzeko partnership made them stand out. But also, ultimately, Dzeko's form dropped off in the second half of the season, and that also cost them. But
no, definitely. Nasser says, don't worry about it, you'll be seeing El Vidal on the left wing next season. Probably.
I don't think so. I genuinely don't think so.
I mean, see if we go back a year ago, would you have thought we'd have a striker playing left wing now? You would have said that. If I said that to you then, you'd say I don't think so.
If you told no, well, a year ago Ole was still the coach, so no. But if I had known Sergen was the coach, then yeah, why not?
Yeah.
It worked brilliantly for him when we won the league.
Yeah.
And it could work again. The problem is that he doesn't have a Gezal on the right. If you put a Gezal quality winger on the right, then this can work. But I think that El Bilal is not the ideal player for it, though, because I think he makes some good runs, he pops up in good positions, but he doesn't do it as consistently as Kyle Larin did.
Yeah, I think El Bilal too is a more talented football player than
100%.
Kyle Larin, but at the same time, Kyle Larin's instincts and knowing when to run and when to be better, which is quite funny because if you listen to the guy speak, you think there was something wrong with him, but his footballing IQ is actually really good.
Yeah. True.
Yeah. And American said Sergen's only tactic is back post to every down.
So any other thoughts?
I think we've talked.
Well, we talked about this last week, obviously, but Aral Şimşir is obviously the big player, Turkish player that stands out. Like, for me, I would be very happy if our big signing on the left was Aral Şimşir. Because it's two birds, one stone, because you get a Turk and you get a really good, talented left winger. If you get him for, say, 15 million, and then you get like another really good foreign right winger, I would be very happy with that. And I think that then also opens up the possibility for you not needing to resort to buying Yusuf Sarı, Oğuz Aydın, Irfan Can Kahveci, whatever. I think you can then say, okay, you know what? Instead of going for one of those guys, we'll get another foreign winger, and or keep Czerny, for example. Just, you know, if Czerny's situation with his wife improves, all that kind of stuff, you could keep Czerny. Get a really good right winger, Czerny as the backup, Aral Şimşir on the left, El Bilal as the backup left winger / backup striker, and then in an ideal world still bring in another striker so you have 3 options.
Brian Arokadari, man. That's what I'm saying. Brian Toll.
That would be yeah. And I think if you bring in someone like Aral Şimşir, because yes, it's a 15 million investment, but you're gonna save a lot of money on the back end, because how much is that kid gonna earn realistically? 1.5 million a year? That's a huge difference from if you bring in some Premier League winger for 15 to 20 million, who you then have to pay 5 million a year. It's a huge difference. So if you bring in someone like Aral Şimşir, you also save money on the wage bill that then can be allocated elsewhere. You know, then you can, for example, justify forking out 5 a year for somebody like Grimaldo more easily, because you're saving money in another position.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Any other names that you saw?
I mean, they're talking about Thilo Kehrer again, but again,
Who?
he's a 3 at the back centre back, Kehrer from Monaco.
Oh,
And
Kehrer,
from
yeah.
what I read, he is more of a similar profile to Agbadu, which I think we need that. We need that Boskagli now, man. That's what I think we need.
No.
We need the guy that can organise that back line and let Agbadu be free. That's what we're lacking.
It's funny, man, because we keep going for profiles that fit that 3 at the back system, and I would not rule it out. I think
I'm rolling it out, Karen. I'm rolling it out.
Yeah, but you're not willing to put your eyebrows on the line, Kartal. So
No. I've got a job. I need to go to the office once a week, man. I can't risk that, even if it's a small chance.
What else can we put on the line? You could shave your head. You could go into the office with a buzz cut. That's doable.
I can't, because I've got a big bump on my head, man. It's like a.
You got a lumpy
a
head.
lipoma, they call it. It's like, basically, it's just like a. It's like a non-cancerous cyst kind of thing. I've got. Apparently, if you get it taken out, there's a chance it comes back bigger. So I just leave it. But if I was to shave my head, I'd basically look like I've got a very small horn potentially, like sticking out my head. So I'm not doing that either.
Yeah, you got a little quato on your head, huh? You know what that is? Quato?
No, I don't know.
Go watch Total Recall with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Open your mind. You'll love it. All right. One last comment, and let's call it quits. Let's see. Nasser is coming in. Oh no, it's Ömer coming in here. Our right back is sorted for next year. Amir and Thailand, our center backs, are sorted too. If we stay as is, we don't need more than this. Goalkeeper is fine with Ersin, and if they go by Devi's great. Left back, left winger, and second striker is crucial. Wow, you're happy. I think that would not.
Umer's a lot more fucking optimistic about the state of the current squad than the current coaching staff involved.
Yeah, I don't think.
I mean, Sardar came out and said we're going to sign another centre back.
I think Nasser is right, by the way. Wishful thinking. Thailand is going to be here next year. Definitely. I don't see Sergen coming back on his. Look, Jota played a good game against Antalya, scored a goal, and played 23 minutes in the next 3 games. Thailand going back to the bench. Not gonna sniff first team football again probably this season unless Amir Morillo, God forbid, gets injured. I don't know. And then Ersin, I'm not happy with Ersin as a goalkeeper. No, we need a proper goalkeeper who can play it out from the back who makes big saves, who oozes confidence, who gives that back line confidence. We need to finally take that step. We can't go
I don't think Vasquez is that guy either, man, because the guy's been a substitute goalie his whole career.
Yeah. I'm not gonna take that risk on a player we've seen once. And then left wing and left back, obviously backup striker, yes. I think we need a 6. I don't think Ndidi is the answer. Ndidi gets too much hate. 100% gets too much hate. But I think it's gonna be tough to dominate matches in possession with Ndidi as your 6. He's a very good 6. He's a very good breaker 6, but I think he needs to play in a different team. If that makes sense. I don't think you can play the type of football we want to see with Ndidi. And I think you need a right winger. I don't think you can omit that. That is an absolute must. So there's a lot to do. I think if you get the goalkeeper sorted, left back, left winger, right winger, 6 backup striker. That's 6 transfers. And backup striker being, obviously a squad depth move. So 5 main signings for the first team. So once again, goalkeeper, 6, left wing, right wing, left back. Those 5 signings, if you make those and you hit them out of the park, then you have a great first 11. And if you then can go and add like 3 players maybe for the rotation, one of which being a good backup striker, and then a good backup winger, and then the last one you can choose maybe a defender instead of Jallo, a defender instead of Felix, whoever depends on who leaves. I agree that with this center back duo, whether it's Emirhan or Udukai and Agbadu, I think that's fine. If you put a good goalkeeper behind that and a good left back next to them, I think that's a solid enough back line to win the league. But yeah, they're gonna, for some stupid reason, prioritize signing a center defender again. And that's what irks me, because there's way more important things to be done. And this is what's been happening for the last couple of years, where they focus on a position that is less important, and then they don't sign a fucking winger.
Yeah. I won't be surprised, Can. I'm saying it now, the first signing will be a centre back.
Imagine. Yeah. I wouldn't put it past them. Anyway, Friday, Gaziantep away in the league, and then on the 5th of May, very important cup game against Konyaspor at home in the semifinals. İlhan Palut, who's beaten Fenerbahçe, Galatasaray and Trabzonspor already since returning to Konyaspor, he is going to be in charge for Konyaspor, of course, in that semifinal, and it's going to be a make or break situation, one-legged confrontation. We're already looking ahead at that, and it just goes to show you how even we don't really see that Friday game as a priority, but we still, in an ideal world, need to get a win so we can kind of sleep comfortably, that at least 4 places safe, and then if the worst thing happens and we don't win the cup, at least we'll have that Conference League ticket via the league. Anyway, thank you all for tuning in. We'll be back. I don't know quite when yet.
Could be Friday after the game.
Yeah, maybe Friday after the game against Gaziantep.
I know you're busy on Saturdays normally, so I know that's a no-go.
And of course, on the 5th of May, we did a watch-along, Ural and myself, for the quarterfinal against Alanyaspor. I think I'm going to repeat that and do it for the semifinal as well. So if you're interested in joining me, let me know. This is exclusive to our members. So if you're not a member on Patreon or on YouTube and you want to join the watch-along, too bad! Only for the members. So go and check that out. If you want to become a member, you can always scan, or you can always go to patreon.com/podcast, or you can hit the join button on YouTube, become a member, and go ahead and scan that QR code in the middle of your screen, join the WhatsApp community. And yeah, that's it. Kafel, thanks for joining me. And
pleasure as always, brother.
Sinan, thank you for being with us in spirit. See you all next week, guys. Or
See you, man.
Peace out. Let's go, Beşiktaş.
Thank you very much to our members. Özkan Zarzavakçı, Nathan the Night Dog David, Finish Kebab, Tristan Craig, Michael Barry, Ömer, Mr. Boykin, Günal, Michael Yaylagun, Tatar Özdemir, Efe Sezen, Turkish Delight 28, Özcan Oğuz, Atılcan Malak, Haşar Mert, Oğuz Özgüldür, Eray Gündür, Serkan Özen, Ali J, Dara the Irishman Hennessy, Mario 1 and a 2 and a 3 of August, Onur Seçer, Nihal Tarık, Sebastian the Not Sporting Director Heinous, Umata Kun K2H, the Vigilante Top, Nasty Naz Nasser, and the Financier, the Dutch Eagle.